Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Football is Fixable, Alright podcast. I'm James, as usual, hosting the greatest football show, and I've got Cess with me, and a special guest, sort of, employee/guest, Coops. Hello mate, you alright?
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Yes.
He is very special. You're right. Yeah.
We'll say no more on that one then. Guys, what a weekend of sport, what a weekend of football. I'm well up for it. Arsenal are back 7 points clear. Up point of recording anyway.
Yeah.
Why are you cheering them on to lose?
Because I want it to be. I've told you before. I don't mind Arsenal winning, but I just want it to be a close league. I don't want it to just be one club. Just what was it? 7 points ahead. Just well clear, and we know who's going to win and everything. I want it to be right to the end. Who's going to win?
But if it goes like that, then it'll be the Arsenal bottle it and all that, and then City will come back because they've won it millions of times. They've got the know-how to do it. So
why is it that you say you want Tottenham not to win trophies because it's funny?
Yeah.
So why is it we can't say we want Arsenal to not win trophies because it's funny?
As we on a previous episode, actually, you were on it, Coops. We agreed that Arsenal are the team that has to win this year, right? Because it'd be good for football.
I don't recall that conversation. I believe I said that Aston Villa would be the best possible winners, but in the absence of Villa and any other side,
right.
then I would accept an Arsenal win.
I can't remember. I was doing the editing that week, so I might have taken that out.
That's how it works.
Yes. But yeah, I should say at this point, Man City haven't played yet, so we don't know the outcome of that game.
Villa as well. Remember Villa?
And Aston Villa as well. Yeah. Can I get into off the post?
Yeah, go for it.
Right, in this week's Off the Post, I've got the post on BBC Sport of a ref that has given a red card to a fan in the crowd.
Oh my God.
You guys hear about that? There's a reaction. See? We missed this when Coops isn't on here. So, a few comments in the aftermath of that post. Wish I'd got one in the Everton game earlier. Which is awesome. WTF, the game's gone. Fans are getting sent off. I mean, fans should be sent off, right? And a couple more. Will he get a 3-match ban for that as well? So yeah, quite a few comical posts.
Yeah.
It was actually a real life story. It was in the Scottish 2nd Division. And it was Edinburgh City were hosting Stirling Albion.
Wow.
So there you go, it's a true story. And there is my Off the Post.
What did he get sent off for?
So according to reports in the Scottish Sun, a rowdy fan had been causing disruption throughout the match. So there you go.
But why would the referee send him off? Because he's not part of the game. Surely he would be escorted by the stewards and the
Yeah,
club.
that's what I was going to say.
It is a strange one, isn't it? Well, hence why it's made the Off the Post. It's quite a special story. It's quite.
And does it have to be during the game, or if you're having a beer, in the vicinity, could they suddenly send you off and be like, what?
Yeah, in the changing room. Off you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Reminds me a bit, actually, of when I went to watch the Euros in France in 2016. I went to see the Albania versus Sweden game, I think it was, and I was sat with all the Albanian fans, and they had no concept of the idea of a kind of smoking ban in the seating area. And they seemed to perceive this as you weren't allowed to smoke while the game was active, because at half-time they basically just all started to light up and have a puff away. It was quite entertaining to watch.
It's like you missed around the stadium all of a sudden. It's fog. Is it kicked off yet? Is the second half on?
Everyone having to waft it out of the stadium before they can start.
Looks like someone's let a flare off. But
Wow.
Right, guys, we have to get into it. It's a serious topic today because I've got the two grumpiest people I know over to the studio.
Nah, it's not true. It was way worse than us. Yeah.
Yeah, you just disagree with everything as you just showed.
No, I don't think I do.
And yeah, all you've done since you've both been here is just, don't you hate that about football? Don't you hate this? Don't you hate the numbers, celebrations? They shouldn't be smiling and all this type of thing.
You shouldn't be smiling.
So this is the thing. So I think today, can we fix football haters today?
Let's do it. Right, I'd just like to get this straight. I'm not a football hater.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I like football. I told you, I like football. I'm a football fan. What I don't like are certain aspects of football because they seem to think, oh, we're unique, which means we're allowed to get away with everything. violence in sport, and then like, yeah, but it's rooted in the history of football, even though it's been proven it isn't.
Right. No, but you just moan like, and Coops comes over every time he's over. It's obviously lovely to see you, Coops, but yeah, it's always, oh god, I hate the way. Look at them holding their faces. Look at those numbers. They shouldn't be allowed numbers, and they shouldn't be allowed.
To be fair with Coops, though, I mean, I got to defend Coops here. I think even if it's not about football, he moans a lot.
I do like to moan.
Yeah, so I reckon it's not really about him hating football. I think he's just miserable the whole time, and the subject happens to be about football.
But football seems to be the like spark. It's like football is the spark which gets.
That's because it's you like only football and Michael Jackson. Oh, and Star Wars. Football, Michael Jackson, and Star Wars. So we're very limited as to the subjects that we can talk to you about.
And Batman. I like Batman.
Oh, there we go.
Well, okay. So why do you have to bring your miserableness over to the studio when we've got so many football matches?
Not misery.
Not misery. Why do you have to bring your misery over to the studio? I mean, you're meant to be. We're like,
Coops. Why?
Well, I think sometimes you sort of maybe misconstrue misery as maybe just melancholy. I think the reality is that it kind of releases a lot of positive energy to moan, and it can really kind of help you.
I actually enjoy moaning.
Yeah.
I mean, complaining.
I've noticed. Yeah.
I think it's brilliant. There was when I was in Australia, I was farming, and we were farming peppers, I think it was, and me and this German guy, every day for like 10 hours a day, we were having to farm, pick these peppers, and it was 30 something degrees, and it was so hot, and our backs were hurting. We were just moaning the whole time, and then we just stood up and went, oh, isn't it amazing to just complain? Oh, it's just brilliant. And we just loved it. And I think it is a good release, actually. It's something that's probably something that boils up in a lot of football fans, and it comes out in a very tribal, violent, nasty, negative way, which they go, oh yeah, it's fine because football's unique.
You've coincidentally chosen the week where Dan, my football fan friend, is here. Someone who's passionate about the game like I am.
The guy that always supports me, you mean?
But on this particular topic, he'd be on my side. You know this.
I don't know. I mean, he normally just sides with me.
Yeah, but that is fear, isn't it? You can see the fear in his eyes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he absolutely loves football, and he sees the passion and the goodness in it. You're just always moaning and always negative and all that, and he's bound to be siding with me on this. Like, he knows that you accuse him of bias, you accuse me of bias. That's because we care about football. It's meaningful to us. You just moan about everything, and the same about you, Coops. It's just, I don't even like this Chelsea. You're a Chelsea fan. I don't like Chelsea anymore. I can't really relate to them anymore.
Well, you can't. And what I was talking about bias, I wasn't saying anything about people shouldn't have bias, because you're an Arsenal fan, so you want Arsenal to win. That's a bias. I said that's perfectly fine. The kind of bias is when you and other Arsenal fans were saying you wanted Aaron Ramsdale to take over from Jordan Pickford in goal. But as soon as he got sold, Ramsdale's not that good. It should always have been Pickford.
Look, where's the evidence for this? That was never ever said.
That was definitely said.
No. Right, anyway. So, the point is, we need to fix hatred in football, like football haters. So it's like how people always want to pick the holes in the game. It's not a perfect sport, and that's what makes things beautiful.
Isn't that the purpose of your podcast, though?
Well, yeah, that's why we're saying we want to fix it.
The podcast?
No, not the podcast. The podcast is there to fix these things.
Yeah, but you've got to moan about them, otherwise there's no podcast.
Coops raises a point, actually. If we fix everything that's bad about football, we don't have jobs anymore.
Well, we've always said this. There's always going to be something bad, and if we do end up fixing things, then we're very powerful. So it must mean that we can actually break it as well.
Maybe you can move on to world peace.
Well, we have actually done a FIFA trophy for peace.
Oh,
we gave it to ourselves.
We felt that we are worthy of. Anyway, that's you need to listen to that episode, Coops. You haven't
clearly
you haven't caught up yet, apparently.
Well, I would say when it comes to football haters, James obviously has this idea that everyone should love football.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to firstly get myself into the mind frame of someone who likes other sports. And I'll just pretend like I'm a football hater. So we can try and get into their minds.
Pretend.
Okay? So I'm going to firstly talk about, I mentioned this before, stories.
Right.
I think when it comes to sports, there's the other sports where you can get stories to come out of the sport instead of just enjoying the sport. So football, for example, every week there's a game. There's no real story. It's just basically game after game after game. and that's all you can enjoy. Whereas you have a sport like boxing, where if you just look at the heavyweight division, for example, there's so few fights that maybe you'll have a fighter fighting twice a year or once a year. The build-up is just incredible. You can develop these stories, who's going to win, what's going to happen, are they at their best, the styles make fights, all these ideas that can create these stories that come out of it. Whereas in football, there's no real tension. There's just this, it's another game, it's another game, it's another game.
What are you talking about? You sound like David Mitchell. Watch the football and it's on again.
Yeah, it's about to move. And it is.
And by the way, from someone who doesn't like football, David Mitchell clearly and famously doesn't like football, and he jokes about it.
And did we like the joke? Yes, we did.
It was quite funny.
Yeah, it was.
But the point is, we do have stories, but we don't need loads of extra stories.
I don't moan about football. Football's amazing.
Is it because Chelsea just scored?
You should. All right, listeners, I wish you heard what he was saying before we started recording. Chelsea 2-0 down at West Ham. They've now brought it back to 2-2 at currently at point of recording. Look at how it's changed. Coops he still moans though. Anyway,
yeah.
So the point is, boxing's so boring. They've got so few matches. They have to make something up for someone to listen and read to. To read and listen to. Let me say that again.
No, I think that it's just different. You can't have boxing every single week like you can in football. In football, you are able to play even twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week, and so they allow that. And then now, because there's so much football, a lot of people are saying, it's a bit stagnant now, there's too much football, that we don't need this much football. The players are playing too many games. That's become the staple of the conversation now about the number of games. There's actually too many games now.
Well, that is an argument which I'm not necessarily against. There is so much football, I get that. But when you say that, I don't know if I agree with the stories thing. When you think about there's so many stories and so much written every single week about football, there's so much material there. Even like Arsenal bottling the league and Man City this and Liverpool that.
That kind of thing. That's an overarching story. That kind of thing I can get behind. It's not even overarching in terms of this season. It's been kind of overarching for 4 seasons or whatever now. So that kind of story, yeah, that's fair enough. But it's not a build-up. The build-up is basically the last few weeks of the season, for example. If it's quite tight with Leicester winning the league, for example, there was an overarching story where it built up right to the end, even when there were 3 games left.
That was special. That was very unique.
Yeah, those are the kind of things I mean as stories. But at the moment, with Arsenal and City and stuff, there isn't really an actual story to follow. Whereas when you have build-ups of when you had Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury just coming back from a mental illness, been out for 3 years, and now he's fighting Deontay Wilder, who was unbeaten at the time. He was statistically one of the best knockout artists in history. And how is he going to fare? And then he knocks down Tyson Fury in the last round. And then Tyson Fury comes back.
It's like a Rocky story.
It's completely, yeah. And that's why when you talk about films in sports, boxing has loads. There's loads of TV shows. There's movies that, Rocky, Creed, $1 Million Baby. That was an Oscar-winning one. Football, you had Goal, which was, I suppose it's quite fun for people who are football fans and go, oh, look, it's Shearer in the background.
Escape to Victory.
The terrible movie that was made years ago.
Look, the thing with boxing, look, you're dragging this, again, you justify things by comparing things to other sports, which isn't right. Boxing is an individual sport, so you get the individual stories.
Football's an individual sport.
It's a team sport.
Oh, I thought you meant like a sport on its own.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, but in terms of being a team sport, you don't get as the personal narratives always coming out on top, where the team is the
You
first
don't get the narratives in tennis. I think it's just the way it's done, because in boxing, you're basically allowed to choose the people that you fight against, whereas in football you can't choose. You're in a competition, same as tennis. You enter a competition, you don't get to choose. So I think it's more just because of the style of sport that it brings out stories. This is what I'm using as, by the way, as an argument that haters would specifically say against football. I do believe that boxing has better stories that come out of football, but I don't necessarily think it makes the sport better than football.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But there's so much to hate about football, though.
I mean, there are things, and the things that I'm not going to pretend to be a saint, although I may well be.
There's already a St. James, isn't there?
Yeah, he was named after me. So when we were younger, we always keep going back to that.
You are a lot older than me.
Yeah, how many days? It's 20
You're 38.
days.
I'm not 38.
20
so-
days. What's it?
No.
19 days and counting.
No.
It's James's birthday today, so happy birthday, James.
Oh, thanks, Coops.
So I'll edit that out. It's fine.
But no, the point is, like, I know that I've in the past I've criticised football. I mean, I'm obviously the host of this major podcast, which is important. There are flaws in football; it needs to be fixed, as I'm sure there are.
Did you just say? Are you basically saying that you're a flaw in football because you're a host of a podcast? That's what it sounded like. Anyway,
that's
I
not
agree with
quite
you.
what I meant. But in terms of, so there are problems, and that's why we're employed in this job. That's why we got that Peace Prize way back when.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, we perform this important role. So, and I'm sure other sports have flaws as well. So, comparing them to sports, I get, you can help make sense of things, but I think you both of you actually, I'm dragging Coops in again, are so overly negative. Like, I wonder if you actually really like football.
This whole thing, a lot of people say that if you take away religion, it'll make things so much more peaceful and everything. I think that's just a fallacy, because if you take away religion, people will find another way to be violent.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel it's the same with football. I've heard a lot of people say, like, the biggest thing that they hate about football is the violence that comes with it, the tribalism, the hatred. And I don't like those things either. But I don't necessarily think taking football away will fix that, because the gangs and everything, they basically chose a club and then kind of justified their violence based on...
it's just another way to justify it.
Yeah, but there is something to it, because I would say the thing I hate the most about football is the indistinction, the opposite of distinction. I don't know what the word is, but not being able to distinguish. Oh my god, I can't even know it is. Anyway,
see the look of disappointment on Coops' face.
Yeah, I know. Distinguishing between hatred and rivalry. That's the thing that I hate the most, because you should not necessarily love your rival, but you want to play your rival. You want to have exciting games with your rivals, and yet in football, it's just this given to hate your rivals and want your rivals to do the worst, be relegated. And then these hatred, this hatred towards players for your rival teams, for example. Like, for example, with you hate Rooney, and yet people that have played like for Arsenal against Rooney in heated times and everything are friends with him now, and they will do podcasts. They've gotten over it, whereas you haven't.
No, none of our lot are friends with our lot.
Yeah, right.
But no, the one thing, I mean, okay, can I say a couple of things I don't like about football? One is the whole derby thing, like teams wanting to, like Chelsea think Spurs are their derby game and stuff.
They are a derby game. It's just they're not necessarily the rivals.
Well, I think
it's a London derby.
It is a London derby, but then how many teams are in London? There's bloody loads of them.
Yeah, and they don't have proper rivals, because I would say you've got the North London derby, but then you also have London derbies. But the main thing about Tottenham and Arsenal is that not only is it a North London derby, but they're rivals. Whereas I would say Chelsea try to claim that Tottenham are their rivals.
No,
they're not.
No, absolutely not. And Chelsea have Fulham. They would be their closest derby game, wouldn't they?
Yeah. In
that sense. So get your own derby. So that's one thing I don't like about football. Is no, get your own rival. Our rivals.
That's what you hate about football.
Well, that's one thing. And okay, if you ask the general population, I think I generally agree that footballers get paid too much and they dive too much these days. That would be my probably biggest bugbears, if you like. Yeah. So okay, I think that's warranted based on how much they are paid. When you think about nurses and doctors and whatever it is, teachers, we're not paid enough. So when you look at it in that sense, they earn more in a week than I would in how many years type thing. So I get that argument, absolutely. But when, what were you saying earlier, Coops? That teams shouldn't have numbers or something or other more than...
No, I wasn't saying they shouldn't have numbers.
Neither of us did. We were just saying you shouldn't have silly numbers.
Yeah, I don't like silly numbers.
Yeah.
What's wrong with... What do you mean silly numbers?
I mean, like having a goalkeeper as number 11, or like a striker as number 1, or like a player with the number 7,826 on the back of his shirt.
Completely agree with that.
You see what I mean, these two? You see what I mean? The thing is, Sir Declan Rice, number 41.
Exactly.
Did you just call him Sir Declan Rice?
I said so Declan Rice, but actually he deserves a knighthood. He's number 41, and that's not acceptable in your world?
I mean, to be fair, I agree with you. If Declan Rice can get Arsenal to win the league, he does deserve a knighthood, because if you can get Arsenal to win the league, that is an achievement beyond parallel.
We don't want to set this precedent. We've already set a precedent that you don't have to win a championship for Gareth Southgate to get a knighthood.
That's right.
Otherwise, that means Victor Gyökeres is worthy of a knighthood were he British. It's
honorary.
Honorary. And I know you don't like to say anything bad about Gyökeres. Yeah.
Well, you moan about him as well, don't you? So
yeah, because you go on about how terrible Haaland is, but then as soon as I say something about Gyökeres, oh no, he works really hard. Yeah.
He does work quite hard.
The moment he leaves Arsenal, you will be like, oh, he was terrible. Yeah, shocking.
Right. So what? I've glitched again. What are your top 3 bugbears then? What do you hate about football, you two?
For me, I would say firstly the indistinguishableness of rivalry and hatred. Yeah. That's going to be something. The justification for their violence. You're justified. You're allowed to be violent just because but that shows tribalism, that shows passion. I would say that.
Yeah, I don't like that.
And the third one, diving.
Yeah. I mean,
when you just look at the sport instead of what the fans do, because the rivalry, hatred, and the violence thing, a lot of that is the fans, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, almost
certain
all
pockets.
of it is.
They give, I think, the wider fans. There's a lot of really good fans, but it's the extreme ones that get.
Yeah, exactly.
The news.
But the diving is purely the players.
Yeah,
I
hate that.
Solely the players.
That would definitely be in my top 3.
That's the thing that gets mocked alongside the violent tribalism, isn't it?
Was it even like? I keep glitching. Even Coops earlier, we're talking about the Chelsea game where what's his name? Your winger?
Neto, wasn't it?
Neto holding his face, and you're look at why is he holding his face?
It's really irritating. Really, really irritating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, actually, when a player did that for Stoke a few years ago, he actually was heckled by his own team because it was embarrassing. But
that's good though. I love that. Stoke are a proper kind of of the community, aren't they?
Well, not anymore because somebody did it today as well. Although it was a new signing, it was his first game, so forgive him. But he did the same thing. He did very much a Neto thing where he got brushed on his face and then spent the next 5 minutes crying, and it looked very, very silly. But I'm sure he'll learn.
And what was he doing as well? Because he knew he wasn't really touched, wasn't he? So he stayed down and kind of made it seem like it was really bad. Yeah. But what were you saying, Tess? It makes it worse.
Yeah, so he thought he'd stay down so that it seemed justified that he stayed down.
Yeah.
But actually in doing that, it just made it worse because they were just showing replay after replay.
Yeah. All the fans were, hang on a minute, why is he still down? What's going on? He deserves an award. They are becoming actors, these guys.
Oh, yeah. So what are your top 3?
That's definitely in there, yeah. The diving, as I mentioned earlier, the pay, that would definitely be in there. Mm-hmm. And I think fans that hate football would be in my top 3 as well. I think they need to support their clubs in the good and the bad times and stop being so bitter.
So fans that hate football, as in the football fans, so not people that just don't like football and watch other sports. Not those ones.
Well, I don't like them either, really. But so we've got plenty of problems to fix then. There's a lot of football haters in that way. So, But before we get on to the fixes, here's a halftime head scratcher.
Hello, it's time for the halftime head scratcher, and here's a special one for you. Jose Mourinho has won it all, but before managing, he worked as a translator for which legendary coach? Answer coming up. Hello! Before the break, I asked for the manager who Jose Mourinho was translator for. That would be Sir Bobby Robson. I guess if you can translate Geordie, you can translate anything. You didn't ask me about what my 3 top things were, and you didn't give me any time to think about them. So I was thinking about them while you were talking, and then you didn't ask me.
Well, we haven't got time. You take forever. Walking through a door takes you 5 minutes.
Well, I'm going to say them anyway. So I thought of them, and I thought diving before you said it as well, so I wasn't cheating.
Are you trying to claim credit for something that I said?
No. I said I wasn't cheating. I say that we can not all say them. I just didn't plagiarise your particular top 3.
Yeah.
But the other 2 are mine. Thinking very quickly off the top of my head as I did. The other one was marginal offsides. They grind my gears somewhat. silly things like when Coventry were sort of banished to the semi-final only. They weren't allowed to get their rightful place in the FA Cup final that year with magical Mark Robbins.
I think Brighton in the game today against Everton, I think they deserved a... I can't remember if they scored. Yeah, they did score. And they got disallowed because of VAR, but it looked like it was a goal.
Yeah. Well, you got the Wenger law coming in, Coops. Your favourite?
Well, as much as I don't like Arsene Wenger, as I say, a broken clock's right, obviously twice a day. And on this particular issue, I do agree with Arsene Wenger, as ashamed as I am to say that.
Hates yet another thing. He hates Arsene Wenger.
That should be my top three, really. But no, my third is, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier on a clip that you showed me on the YouTube. But yeah, it's of the idea of having players getting a booking for taking their shirts off as a celebration. Very, very silly rule. Very silly rule.
That is true, because we found out, didn't we, that it's not just this idea of the hiding the sponsor or whatever. There's several reasons for it.
Yeah,
but
time wasting and all that. But you don't time waste with it.
No.
If anything, it takes more time to book the player after he's taken the shirt off anyway.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. And also, I mean, you can celebrate and take a long time anyway. So, at what point?
I did listen to one of your podcasts, and the one where you were talking about having a stop clock, like stopping the time.
Yes.
Obviously, you could take as long as you like to celebrate with that particular fix of yours.
Yeah. Well, so Coops is agreeing with us. Wow.
Synergy. I listened to a podcast and I'm implementing your advice.
You're implementing it. It's like, right, Chelsea.
You didn't tell me about your latest role in FIFA.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the corruption got you quite far then, apparently.
It's the kind of when the kind of doors of an evil organisation open, and then you see all of the kind of men in their sort of top hats behind the scenes running the show.
Yeah. I think there are things to hate about football, but you guys are picking and choosing.
You asked us to. Oh, right, okay. I thought you meant about our three choices.
No, I mean, I sort of said pick three, and you had a long list. You could have gone even more, you know?
That is true. Yeah, but that's because there's a lot wrong about football. And even though both of us love football, probably to different levels, because that's the only thing you love in the world, I would say that there are still lots of things that are wrong with it that can be better.
So, I mean, well, I suppose the main problem is how are we going to fix these football haters such as yourselves? And the thing is, getting you two on this episode is absolutely vital because we get insider knowledge. What makes a football hater, tick?
Oh, that's a good question. I think a football hater still... We're talking about football haters that are football fans, aren't we? Not just football haters in general.
I guess you two sort of are fans as well, yeah.
Yeah, and I would say football fans that are football haters are actually the logical ones. They're the ones that don't get blinded by the sport like you are.
The bias. They don't get blinded by bias.
Yeah, because
that's what you're saying, isn't
it? When I asked you, do you want to see Tottenham get relegated? You were like, yeah. Every single football fan says that. Whereas with people like Coops, well, Coops is a Chelsea fan, so doesn't really have a rival, so we can't really use that. But does Stoke have a rival?
I've got loads of rivals. Well, not very good ones anymore. But Port Vale obviously is the key rival.
You never
but they don't play them anymore. Probably the closest sort of rivalry these days is probably West Brom. For me personally, it's Derby because growing up near Uttoxeter.
Okay. So would you like to see Derby get relegated?
No. I want to see Stoke and Derby literally playing it out in the playoff final.
There we go. So football fans that are football haters are actually the logical, decent people that don't get swayed by this, like, there's some sort of rhetoric that football seems to teach the new generations. Oh yeah, by the way, you have to hate for no apparent reason, and you want all your rivals do really badly, even though it's good to play them. You don't want that.
It's almost like a balancing act, like a set of weighing scales. The more you love football, you hate...
the stupider you get.
I
agree with that.
What you guys are saying is, because you aren't, you don't like football like I do. You don't. It's that love isn't there in the same way.
I'm not fooled by it, yeah.
So because of that, you kind of put your hatred on football. Whereas me, I don't put it there. You're claiming that us football fans actually put the hatred on silly things like rivals and things like that. So
my analogy for this, have you ever seen the Lego movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
With, was it young Emmett, isn't it? The main character.
Yeah.
Everything is awesome. Nothing can possibly be anything else but awesome.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And then they'll go down the route of economy. No, it's one of it's the most popular sport, as though it means something.
And then behind the scenes, realised actually everything wasn't as awesome as you thought.
Yeah.
And actually, with a bit of critical thinking about moaning, you can actually identify the things that maybe aren't so awesome. And that gives you an opportunity to kind of...
That's true. Maybe you should replace James, actually, because, James is someone who... Dan is someone who does love football similarly to you, but he's someone that's easily swayable. He just kind of...
No backbone. Yeah.
No. Exactly, yeah. He'll just say yes to whatever I say. So maybe Coops needs to replace James then. I think that's a good idea.
That's
a fix.
I'd pay. I'd always pay to see it, really. Right, Coops, and go. Sorry, what? What are we doing?
Yeah, it will get quite difficult to edit the episodes.
You'll soon hate him, I'm telling you that. But
you do have to weigh up all the pros and cons.
Well, that's critical thinking, isn't it? Exactly
true.
That. That's the thing, and like I said, there are things I hate, and one thing I didn't say, obviously, Spurs fans. I should add that into my top 3, shouldn't I?
Oh, right, you hate Spurs fans.
Well, do you know? Well, going into this Man City game is apparently they want their own team to lose yet again, like they did last season, so that the 2 seasons ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that Man City can have a better chance of winning the league. They want their own team to lose. I mean,
I know, and that's the ridiculousness of football, because you don't see that. You don't have a Federer fan in tennis going, you know what? I really want Nadal to get knocked out early, and so Federer plays someone easy. No, they want to see a Federer-Nadal final in Wimbledon.
Yeah, true.
Whereas football fans, I would say, I mean, I've asked all my football fan friends, and not a single one of them said, no, I want my rival to do well so we can have a close game towards the top or whatever,
So
no
is
Arsenal
Coops
fan.
not a friend then?
Oh, he's a colleague now.
Okay.
Now he's
he
taking
literally
over
said
from
that
you.
like 3 minutes ago.
Flight of the Concords, though, by that logic, to have fallen in the rankings. Are we friends, Murray? No, just colleagues.
That's a good point, yeah. Well, this is the first time, actually, and you are now saying that Coops and I are basically the only football fans that are football haters that you know. And coincidentally, we're the most logical ones.
I think it does help think more logically, so the whole critical thinking thing. So I think one fix that we've talked about in previous episodes, for what I would say, to bring it back up again, is that you should be able to question your own logic, and people don't do it enough. And that critical thinking is you have to be able to do that. Question, is it right, actually? Should I be hating these fans? Should I do, I think emotion does cloud it. So, Coops, what would you do in terms of fixing your most hated parts of football?
Well, I don't think you need to fix too much, to be honest. It's good to just be a bit... I think I said earlier, it's nice and healthy to moan about things. And the thing is, I'm not really... I think...
Well, thanks for coming onto the show then, Coops. That's,
Okay, no, I think that's something to fix.
We introduce him to this episode of Football Haters, and he's like, no, nothing to fix. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay,
I mean, we've already fixed...
What have you been your suggestions? Sorry, I've been a bit...
You were on the episode and you didn't even listen. Wow. So I've said, basically, my fix, firstly, to fix this podcast is to get rid of James.
Oh, right, okay.
And replace him with you. But now I'm not so sure.
I remember that one.
He might have second thoughts on that.
Yeah. But basically, I'm trying to say that the way that we do it, where we're football fans... But we're happy enough to admit the faults of football, and it needs to look at itself. And that's kind of what you're saying, James, is that you've got to be able to critically think about your own perceptions of the sport. I think those are good fixes. And we've mentioned before about the rivalry versus hatred thing.
Yeah.
Like, what is the point in hating anyone? Like, why hate Rooney? That's what I've got to say, James.
No, I agree with that, actually, yeah. So I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
Good.
I remember listening to that. So I would actually agree, yes. So that it is it's okay to hate as in to grumble. I think I've mentioned before, actually. I don't know if you cut it, maybe, probably. But on Stoke Radio, they have a radio show after the games for Vale fans and Stoke fans called Praise and Grumble, which they could realistically just rename to Grumble.
Yeah.
But that's quite nice because it's people just moaning, and as I say, it's cathartic, and it's it's harmless moaning. Essentially, it's kind of you get it out your system. You're potentially putting across some interesting points, but equally sometimes it's just nice to have a bit of a moan, especially when things aren't going so well. And as you get older, as we all know and can now reflect on, you do like to moan about things a little bit more.
Back in my day.
Yeah.
So that kind of grumbling, I think personally, I don't have any problem with. But the kind of, I totally agree that this sort of vitriolic hatred, irrational hatred, and sort of hating in that respect is completely over the top and perverse, and can be kind of erased by just a number of means that I haven't really thought of.
Oh, great. So you're saying it needs to be fixed, and then you're just going to stop there.
I guess, my fix would be to just generally allow people to just chill. And
allow people to chill. Thanks.
Maybe have rather than a couple of drinks, just a bit more of a smiling session, a bit of meditation.
That's something. So I would say when you go into the stadium, everyone should be given lollipops, like a chupa chup. Because I reckon, however hard you are as a gangster, can you be like taken seriously if you just got a chupa chup in your mouth?
All right, come here a minute.
Yeah.
What did you just call me?
Oi, lads, what flavour you got?
Well, I was just as Coots was saying that they could have like that in primary schools they have like a timeout room, and secondary schools actually they have like a timeout room. So if fans are getting a bit too rowdy, they go into the timeout room where they get supervised in silence. I think that would be one of my fixes. They just need to calm down. There's idiots everywhere. It's not like you say. It's not just football fans. It's not just. Those people ruin it for other people.
Yeah. I thought of another one now, actually, as well. I've had a bit of time. So, another thing, of course, is, so, as I say, it's this kind of irrational kind of sort of hate for reasons unknown, sort of like Arsenal just hating Spurs for the sheer hell of it. Or even worse, actually, I think is sometimes, as you say, hating your own team, wanting your own team to fail because you don't believe that they're doing as well as they should do. Perhaps in these instances, actually just a bit of re-education and a bit of a history lesson could potentially help these fans to understand how privileged they now are relative to positions of the past.
Good point.
So if United fans turn on Carrick after a while, then you give them a lecture on the Norman conquest.
You think you got it bad?
Well, even in Manchester United's history. So one idea I pitched about your podcast earlier that you could do is get an older fan on to reflect on how maybe times have changed. So did they, in like the 1960s or the 1970s, have such a kind of a critical view as people seem to have today over even the most microscopic things that their team might have done wrong?
It'll be interesting. We don't really know how tribal they were.
No.
Like, was the hatred thing always there? You did have cases like there was that was it a Colombian guy who a player was shot by a fan because he scored an own goal or something. So there would have been certain areas, I'm sure.
There was quite bad hooliganism.
Yeah.
There, like in the 70s.
I'm thinking more though about like if like your team has been on a 3 or 4 match losing streak, were people in the 1970s, say, calling for the head of their manager or saying that, these players are all terrible, we need to sell the squad and get a new squad? Or is that the privilege of an era where the Premier League is so rich and sort of just rolling in, I can't quite think of my words. Yeah.
I know what you mean, because actually that would have been very useful for a club like West Ham when they wanted to get rid of David Moyes. You could have put the entire West Ham fandom in a lecture room and just say, you do realise there is no West Ham way.
Yeah, that was the thing that was quoted, wasn't it? He doesn't play the West Ham way and the football's really bad. Yes, but from the resources that he has, he's won you a European trophy.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the job he did. It was fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There are issues there at West Ham, I get it, but be careful what you wish for is kind of the main
look what happened to them after he left.
And this is, I am slightly on the turn here.
Well, it's because your job's on the line.
Possibly because my job's on the line. And that is that I think there should be emotion. And so Arsenal and Spurs hate each other, right?
Yeah.
But that brings more fun and enjoyment into the game. It's the logic bit. When that hate gets rid of logic, when you actually start wanting your own team to lose, like the Spurs fans are currently doing, for example, there's a level to this.
It's just a way so you can have a go at Spurs.
And another thing. But this is it. I mean, that's where there needs to be a balance between the emotion and the logic. I think emotion, the problem with you two is that you lack the emotion.
But we've talked about this before. You keep thinking that you take away hate, it means you take away emotion. There's so much passion in other sports. You go to a rugby game and you tell me there's no passion. It's just there's no idiots that decide to turn to violence and use hatred as some sort of justification.
But I mean, okay, so even though I might say hate Rooney or whatever, I don't want to be violent. I think that's different, isn't it?
No, and I would say that's the reason why I'm able to do a podcast with you and I'm able to tolerate you all these years.
Oh, tolerate.
Yeah, but as soon as I realise that Coops is a logical guy, I'm willing to replace you.
All right, then. Well,
It's just good business.
Well, there we are. Well, speaking of idiots that we hate, I think it's time for some fantasy football talk. Here's John's Juicy Tips.
Juicy. I hate it when I can't see your tips, John.
John's Juicy Tips.
Yeah.
Alright, juicy tips. In defence, it's Daniel Munoz for Crystal Palace. Even though he's had 8 weeks off injured, he still has the most attacking returns of any defender in FPL. Plus, Palace have a good fixture run coming up. In midfield, I'm picking on vibes. It's Cole Palmer. He's been off the pace and injured all season long, but there's some sneaky signs he's on his way back. And he can be explosive, so get him while he's still a differential. And up front it's that Viking Victor Gyökeres for Arsenal, who are likely to have a double game week in a couple of weeks' time. And he has 2 goals in his last 2 appearances for the club. Juicy.
Thanks, John, as always. And our league guys and Coops, you're even lower than Cess and Dan, can I just say?
Sorry, yeah, no, I've just seen that some of my players are injured again.
You're 39th currently, but there's always hope.
I don't know, I've forgotten about it, to be honest. But I see now I need to make serious substitutions, because...
Serious substitutions, not joke ones.
I'm not sure how long Grealish has been out for, but he's out.
Oh no, he was out from this week
for
the rest of the season.
Oh, that's bad.
Yes, it is.
And I don't know how long David Brooks has been out. Is he out for a long time?
No idea.
He's been playing in the last few weeks, so he shouldn't have been out too long.
Mickey van der Ven?
Oh, he's always in and out anyway.
Yeah.
Right, but there you are. So you can follow John's tips there then, Coops. Our league is hotting up at the top. John is currently at the point of recording second. Patrick Finney is back on top with Highbridge United, 1,371 points, but there's still games to go this weekend. And if you want to join our league and show your true ball knowledge, you'll get a shout out on the pod every week that you top the league, if you can, that is. You can join with the entry code SD4GZV and see if you have what it takes. There we are, guys. It felt like a big one. It felt like a bit of a rant from you two in parts in the episode, I must say.
But I think you were slowly turned, really.
I think this is the problem. It's infectious, isn't it? That sort of like the moaning. People like you said, Coops, it is just kind of therapeutic. You want to get moans out your system.
Yeah.
And that's why everyone's so negative all the time.
So when you started, you said you wanted to fix people like me and Coops, but now what you're saying is...
We're not your target audience, you see. We're not the ones that need fixing, because our moans are little moans. It's the big moans that you don't like.
Yeah,
the big haters.
exactly.
I hate everyone now. I hate all of it. Hopefully you've enjoyed the episode, guys. If I'm not here next week and all that, have a great life. And Coops will take it from here, really. Have a great week, and it's goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me. Goodbye.